go to Washington to fight with people. That's not the reason why I'm running. But I'm not going to Washington to get along with people that are doing things that I think are damaging to America. And I have faith in our republic. And I believe that if I and others who are running for office go up there and do a good job of standing up and pointing out the flaws in what they want, and do a good job of offering alternatives to what they want, I have faith in our republic. I have faith that the majority of Americans will side with us and vote people like us, more of us, into office until we're in a majority and then can implement this alternative. That's where I put my faith and trust on these things. I'll close by saying to you, ultimately, this was not the easiest race. Let me tell you right now, in case you're ever thinking about running for office. There are easier things to run for than against the incumbent governor of your own party. Okay? But I'm glad that that's the kind of race this is, because it forced me to answer the most important question I think every candidate should answer. Why are you doing this? And I think, sadly, maybe all of us at some point in our lives have been guilty of it. People run for things because they can win. They run because they want to be in politics, and this is just the next step up the political ladder. This is just the next logical office to hold. And through some very tough months last summer, I got to answer an important question. I knew that running against the governor of my own party in my own state was not the next logical step. And yet ultimately I decided that at some point in the future, we would be held accountable by our children. Would be held accountable by what we did or failed to do at this moment in our history. You know, I said last night to a speech that I gave, the older I get, the more I identify with my parents. As my kids get older and more opinionated. This is not to make you feel sorry for me. I'm honored that I'm able to do this. But at this very moment, my 4-year-old son is having only his 3rd T-ball game, and I wish I was there. I really do. But I'm glad that I'm here instead, and I'll tell you why. Because this campaign is about them. This campaign is about what kind of country we will leave for them. What kind of nation will they inherit? And to me, it's very simple. If we make the right choices, if we return to the principles of limited government that have made us free and prosperous, I believe my children, your children and grandchildren, will be the freest, most prosperous Americans in our history. And that's saying a lot. But if we choose wrong, I think their destiny will be different. In fact, I think they will become the first Americans to inherit a diminished nation from their parents. And we will become the first Americans to leave their children worse off than ourselves. It's an unacceptable result, especially for someone that comes from where I came from. My parents were not born in this country. They were born in Cuba. They came here in the late 1950s for obvious reasons. By the way, I thank God every night that Cuba was 90 miles from the United States. Not 90 miles from Belgium, for example. Anyway, nothing wrong with Belgium, but I don't know, if somebody's from Belgium, I probably offended you, I apologize. But we polled it, it said it was okay to say this now. I think about my dad, my grandfather, my mom. You know, they were, without getting to all the details of how they grew up, they didn't have the opportunities I had. They were not only born into poverty, their opportunities were limited. What they could accomplish in life was determined before they were even born. They weren't born into wealthy, connected families. The society that my parents were born into pretty much was a society that no matter how hard you worked, how talented you were, how much you tried, how many breaks you may have gotten, there's only so much you could do. You can only go so far. That's the society they were born into. Now think about the one I was born into. I never once felt growing up that because I had a vowel in my last name that I was limited in what I could accomplish. And boy, do people try to talk about that all the time. And yet I never ever felt growing up, you know what, my last name's Rubio, there's only so much I can do. My dad's a bartender, my mom's a maid, there's only so much I can do. I'm not going to go to Harvard because I just didn't study very hard in high school. And my parents can't afford it anyway, there's only so much I can do. My parents can't afford to pay for law school or even college, so I'm going to have to take out some loans to do it. There's only so much I can do. I never felt limited by these things. I understood what they meant. But I never felt that somehow there's only so far that I could go. And rightfully so.